It's the holiday season, which means it's time for decorating trees, giving gifts, eating lots of food, spending time with friends or family, and trying to figure out why a sexy ghost is a ghost. Oh, at least you do if you're a character in The Spirit of Christmas, a 2015 Lifetime movie. First, credit where credit is due. Thanks to Chris Burns, aka Fat Carrie Bradshaw, on socials for pointing out this during their 12 days of bad holiday Christmas movie. Without them including this in that series of videos, I wouldn't know about this movie. So thank you. Now, why I enjoyed Spirit of Christmas, I did watch it like 3 times last Christmas after I heard about it. It's one of those movies that also frustrates me because the logical part of my brain is still moving, even though it's supposed to be a silly holiday romance. The logical part of my brain still has lots of questions. And this movie, while I did think it was cute, which I'll talk more about at the end, left me with more questions than I think I would ever have when watching a movie about ghosts and Christmas and romance. More on that towards the end. We should get into the plot so you can kind of see what's going on and what it's all about. The movie starts off in the 1920s by introducing us to our soon to be ghost Daniel. He's coming back from a trip around Christmas Eve and stops on the edge of his property, which is an inn and also his home. He sees his fiancee Lily talking to his brother and seems a bit concerned, but doesn't get to be too concerned because he's promptly boinked on the head and dies. Flash forward some 90 odd years later, and we meet our female protagonist, Kate, a down on her luck in love and knows it lawyer. She's so aware of her romantic situation that she is basically self sabotaging herself.
What?
I thought you were proposing.
I know this may seem sudden, but it's something that's been lurking since, well, the beginning. I know being an attorney is an all-consuming job, but if you really wanted us to work, you'd make me a priority.
True.
And I'm not your priority.
You're so not. Also, you're tired of dating someone who hasn't learned how to love.
We then learn that the last remaining heir to Daniel's inn has died and it's been left to her trust. It's then up to Kate, of course, to get everything squared away before Christmas. She arrives at the inn just as the appraiser is leaving in a rush. He seemingly doesn't want to be there and meets Walter, the inn's manager. Walter says the inn is closing for the holidays.
Isn't it high season for a place like this? Why would you be closing now?
Tradition.
This doesn't deter Kate, though, because ghosts aren't real. So she decides to stay. That night, Ghost Daniel shows up and scares Kate, who promptly gets boinked on the head by something that fell off a shelf. She doesn't die, unlike him, but instead wakes up covered in a nice quilt while Daniel plays the piano. Would be nice and romantic, except Daniel's kind of hostile and carries her outside, gives her the quilt, and locks her out of the inn. He basically is doing this because it's his time at the inn and he doesn't want anybody else there. They go back and forth a lot with her being locked in or out of places. She calls the sheriff, who comes and lets her out, and then can't see Daniel because he disappears with his ghost like powers, which eventually leads to Walter coming back and Kate finally learning what's
Stop like
going
that.
on.
At the moment, Daniel is not a ghost.
Mm.
However, when the clock strikes midnight on December 24th, he will be yet again.
How does that even work?
A curse.
A curse. You just said a curse out loud and actually meant it.
How else would you explain this?
Of course, she doesn't believe Daniel's a ghost, so he shows her that he can't go beyond the property line. He thinks this will get Kate to leave, but instead inspires her to try to figure out what's going on, why he's only able to materialize for 12 days out of the year, why this specific period of time, and hopefully help him move on so they can settle the estate, sell the inn, and, everything's tied up in a neat Christmas bow. Throughout the movie, we get flashbacks of Daniel's relationship with Lily, and we learn through these and when he eventually tells Kate that he was not home on Christmas Eve when he was killed because he was trying to make money bootlegging with his cousin Harry in Montreal. He came back though because he realized what was important, Lily. Kate eventually figures out that the time span in which he becomes a real boy is the time he was away, 12 days, including Christmas Eve. This doesn't explain all the weird ghost qualities he has, though, like he's physical for the 12 days and can eat food, but he doesn't sleep. He also has lots of changes of clothes. He doesn't appear to age, but everyone can see him unless they're the sheriff because he seems to disappear whenever the sheriff showed up. So there's all these like questionable things about, the logistics of Ghost Daniel. Well, This is also happening. We learn there's another ghost at the inn, but neither Daniel or Kate can figure out who it is. Also, the town bar floods or it's something, and its owner, Molly, is looking to have a Christmas get together at the inn. Daniel doesn't like that idea.
There is any chance you'd think about opening the tavern for the holidays?
No.
What he means is he needs more time to work out the specifics.
Specifically, no.
Hi, I'm Molly. What's your name?
DJ,
It is absolutely not, DJ.
Eventually, though, they convince him to hold the party because he's able to show off his bartending skills. Basically, he was challenged and he accepted the challenge. We learn at this party that Lily married Daniel's brother and died in childbirth, which is an important detail for later. Throughout all of this, Daniel and Kate are growing closer, but then her boss calls her back and says, "Okay, why haven't you figured out this thing with the inn? You need to figure it out now." Kate gets called back to work, and while she's away, she figures out that Lily was pregnant with Daniel's baby and didn't cheat on him like Daniel thought with his brother. The marriage that she had with his brother was a marriage of convenience and necessity, as she was an unwed mother in the 1920s. Just before Kate returns, Daniel has his first sleep in 90 years, something that is very strange, as he notes. He falls asleep outside and awakens to someone playing a piano in the house, and it's Kate, who, instead of trying to awaken him, decides to just play the piano. Anyway, she tells him that the news about Lily and the baby, which he gets a little bit sad about, but he doesn't really have time to remain sad because it's time for this big Christmas Eve party with some of the town folk. They both get dressed for the party, and Kate gives Daniel his father's watch, which she had fixed. He had given this to her before she left, saying that he hadn't been able to open it since he died. They then share a brief kiss. Everyone at the party is having a good time, and Daniel eventually sees Ghost Lily dressed as she was the night he died. From there, she somehow gives him the power of flashbacks, where he's able to see the night of his death more clearly, and that if Lily and his brother were on the porch, who wasn't there that knew about him going to Montreal? Well, it was Cousin Harry. Cousin Harry is revealed to be the killer. Basically, Harry, who died an old man but is now confined to his younger self as a ghost, has been the ghost that has been kind of moving around the inn.
I know. But LaBelle, he didn't believe me. He told me I had to stop you or else he would. And then he'd go after my family. Henrietta, I couldn't risk it.
She had just been born.
She was my everything. I had to protect her.
why is this happening? Why haven't you moved on?
Where else would I go? I murdered someone.
He's afraid of judgment.
And as long as you stay here, I stay. You're my anchor.
At this point, Daniel realizes that everything that has happened with him becoming a ghost and everything that's going on here, minus his death, of course, because his death was caused by Harry, has been because of Lily.
But a curse, after all. It's a miracle. Lily's a miracle. For me.
He then forgives Harry, which allows Harry to cross over, and then he and Kate share a moment where they kiss. Kate kind of gets knocked out from the kiss. I'm not sure if she just like was tired or the kiss had the power to like make her go to sleep. But anyways, he lays her down and Lily appears once again and tells him that he has to choose. Either he's going with her to wherever she is going, the afterlife or whatever, or he has to choose if he wants to stay. We don't really get to see what he chooses initially because we cut to Kate waking up the next morning. We also find out that Walter and Molly have bought the inn. I forget exactly at what point we find this out, but they bought it. They had kind of been dancing around each other in terms of being in a romantic relationship throughout the film, but they got together, bought the inn, and are now going to run it together. As Kate is packing up, she is, of course, a little bit sad and goes up to her car where she hears someone coming through the snow towards the house. It's Daniel, and he is dressed in the same outfit he had been walking or wearing in the 1920s right before he was killed. He runs up to Kate and basically tells her he chose her.
came back. How?
12 days isn't nearly enough. I want more. I want you. Merry Christmas.
And that's where it ends. In terms of holiday made for TV Christmas movies, this is one of the better ones. The actors are likable, they have good chemistry, the characters are likable, there's some funny moments, like it has all of these good qualities. But I think what causes the movie to suffer is that while the plot is simple, it's also overly complicated. So it's simple because the whole plot is trying to figure out what happened to Daniel and who killed him and how to just kind of solve the mystery of why he only comes back for 12 days. The complicated part is that they don't really explain anything, and like if you're like me, you're left with more questions at the end than you had. Like, the big thing is, what the heck is this curse blessing? Like, they kind of hint that it maybe is like Daniel has to learn a lesson, but like Lily doesn't explain it, Daniel doesn't clearly explain it. But and also, how did she curse him? Like, or I guess give him this blessing? Like, on her deathbed, did she decide to like, you know, curse her deceased fiance and that he had to be a ghost until he figured his stuff out? Like, what is it? Like, again, is she a witch? Is she a spellcaster? Like, what happened? Like, what is this strange magic that she has? Also, why do the ghosts appear, except for Daniel, in clothes that they wore the night Daniel died? Are they both part of this curse blessing thing, required to look and dress the way they did that one night? Like, Harry died an old man or an older man. Um, so he's like cursed to carry around a bloody rock and wear the outfit he wore that night. Like, I don't understand how this works. I also don't understand, like, at the end, if Daniel is alive or not. Like, he comes through the woods, he tells Kate that he wants more time with her, but is he alive, or is it just that he's chosen to be in a physical form longer than 12 days? So is he gonna still be a ghost and then, Kate's gonna get older and die and he's gonna stay the way he is? Or or did somehow like Lily's cursed blessing thing bring him back to life and he's now alive? Like they don't really even say that. Like because he was something that Kate could touch before, we don't even know from her kissing him and like hugging him and stuff that he's alive. So they don't even explain that. Like I want to know that. I want to know if he's been given a second chance. Um so yes, there's just so many questions at the end that I feel like another 5 minutes of dialogue would have, kind of answered those things. Just a few things as maybe, Kate and Daniel are walking back into the inn that they answer through some exposition. And then the movie ends with them, coming home per se. Um, but like I said, this is a very cute movie. It's kind of mid-tier in terms of holiday movies, it's not the greatest thing in the world, but it's definitely not the worst. It's something that's enjoyable if you have an hour and a half of time to kill in the next couple days or over the holiday season, if you watch films into the new year, definitely give it a shot. I think it's a fun little film to watch, something that you may add to your holiday rotation every year or maybe every few years or whatever you like. But I definitely think it's worth a shot, and I definitely think it's something that if TV holiday movies are your thing, that you will enjoy. Other than that, this is my last holiday piece of content for this season. I hope you have a wonderful holiday season, and I will be back in the new year with a few new videos. Happy holidays.